Hello, hello to everyone today. Happy Tuesday and welcome to Tea Time Tuesday. Want to thank you, you tea timers this morning for your patience as we were trying to get things ready behind the scene with some technical things going on. We welcome you today and we're so thankful that you're joining in with us. Okay, so we want to find out who is with us this morning. We want to go ahead and tell your tea timers to go ahead and share this broadcast with your friends. Invite your friends, go get your friends, tell your friends that Tea Time Tuesday is airing live right now. We're also airing live over there on the It's Patrick Brown page on YouTube. And so we're so excited today. We hope that you all had a wonderful weekend. You know, today is so beautiful here in Concord. The sun is shining brightly, and we have clear skies today. We love to see who's in the chat today. Go ahead and sign in and post us on your social media pages so we can let everyone know that we are streaming live and we're looking forward to a wonderful session today, The Gift of Being You, Part 4. I'm telling you, we are in for a great time of pause and reset today. And our session is going to be focusing on the three areas of sight. We'll be exploring three areas of sight. So stay tuned. Make sure that you get your journals, get your pen. You know what we normally do on Tea Time Tuesday. It's a time for resilience, building resilience and taking the time to find out where we are, to locate where we are so we can move forward. And so at the Renewal Center this month, during August, we are celebrating Artist Appreciation Month. And so we have had a phenomenal time, and we're going to continue to do this, celebrating our artists, celebrating all artisans in their creativity and their craftsmanship and workmanship. And we're so excited about that. We had two incredible interviews this past 2 weeks. So I encourage all of you to go to the Renewal Center page, check out those interviews. Some great, rich conversations going on. And so without further delay, we're going to move forward with our tea of the week. And you know what? The last couple sessions, there's just been a lot of lemony and citrus teas going on in the chat. And I'm telling you, we have just had some people sign in to tell us that they had lemon tea and all this. So I decided today to focus on our tea of the week, which is citrus tea. And you know, citrus tea, I found to be you can actually get green tea or black tea and heat it up and do a combination of variation of different citrus fruits such as orange and lemon. I found something in my research that was lemon balm, orange rinds, verbena, lemon peel, all of those things. Of course, we add honey and all those different sweeteners in there to create a great combination of a very relaxing, rejuvenating, hot or, chilled citrus tea. And I love that. Actually, I drink citrus tea, and you can drink it year round, hot, cold, and any season of the year is appropriate. So, how appropriate to have something like that because we're launching almost into fall, leaving summer almost. We're getting into September, and we can always relax with a great cup of citrus tea. So let us know what you're drinking out there in the chat. And also, we want to move forward with our book of the week. Here it is, our book of the week. Here's the hard copy. It is called Prayer Always, a book for daily worship using all your senses. And that's by Edward Hayes. This is a very, very enlightening and insightful book, very creative book on prayer. And as you know, during the month of our summer months, June, July, and August, we've been focusing on prayer during Tea Time Tuesday. And so I want to share just a little bit about this book. I found this book to be very enlightening. There's a chapter in there that talks about hurrying. So how many of you guys hurry all the time and just need to slow down? There's a book that talks about that. There's a chapter in here that has a prayer that says, a prayer for someone in a hurry. We have a lot of demands throughout our day. And I just found this to be such a very simplistic book that kind of draws us back in and reels us back in to ask God for direction to slow down and a time to pray. And so Edward Hayes shares a unique interpretation of biblical commands to pray always. as a call to pray creatively at all times in every circumstance. He invites readers to learn to pray with their eyes, their nose, even their feet, and to pray at times they might not think is prayerful. Hayes also offers a new definition of praying that will awaken hearts to prayer that knows no hour or day, but is always alive. So we have this book here in the Renewal Center stock room in our in-house library. We're so excited to share this. And so let's move into our day of the gift of being you. Oh, this is going to be very exciting. Hello, Aretha. It's good to see you this morning. And everyone that's out there. Hello, Nicole. It's good to see you too this morning. Well, this afternoon. And so, without further delay, I'm going to bring on our Executive Director, Patrick J. Brown, as we move forward in our session today, our Tea Time Tuesday.
Thank you so much, Carmela. Good morning, good afternoon, everybody. Welcome to Tea Time Tuesday. Thank you for opening us up. Folks, I want to encourage you, absolutely, if you're in a hurry, this is the time to slow down. If you're in a hurry and you're ripping and running, this is your moment to locate yourself. So that's what we're going to do here before we get started in our tea time for today. If you out there, go ahead and share with us what is your drink of choice today so we can connect. This is about resting. It's about resetting, and it's about increasing and building our resilience. And we do that through community. So please go ahead and share this on your pages. Share it with others that might be on right now, or those that might be on their breaks or they're at lunch, and spend that time with us every single Tuesday, noon Eastern Standard Time. So please go ahead and share that. I'll wait for you to go ahead and do that. If you're out there on our YouTube channel, please go ahead and subscribe and share with us so that you can catch the replay, or you can know when you get notifications for us when we go live. And again, we want to make sure that we take the time to pause collectively in our tea time community. So let's take a few seconds, if you will, and let's locate ourselves. Just with a 30-second time of just decompress, just relax, and then we'll get started on our tea time today. So go ahead and just get yourself in a good posture, if you will. And then let's just go ahead and calm ourselves. Very good, very good. I think this is great when we're able to take our time and begin to move into a place of clarity. So if you have your journals out there, let's get ready, because we've been discussing this month the gift of being you. So I want to review what we shared. And Carmela, thank you so much for opening us up today for our tea time. See you on the other side. Thank you so much. Okay, folks, last 3 sessions that we've been discussing the gift of being you. We started out with this, the you of living, the you of loving, the you of learning and legacy. Then we began to discuss part number 2, originality, making sure that you see the originality of who you are and how there are opportunities to help expand that originality. And then what your story and your journey of overcoming, and then ownership, owning where you are, owning the greatness about who you are. Then we began last week, wow, about the tyranny of fear and being able to move forward with boldness in who you are. How many times there are other forces in our culture that try to come against our thought processes in the area of tyranny. Sometimes it's breaking news, the content of life and what we're seeing out there and how that begins to impact who we are. So it's important, folks, that we begin to consider that as well. Then we talked through the tyranny of health and beauty and how body image and the politics of aesthetics, and then growth and allowing ourselves to be in a space where we're not pressured to perform. Well, today we're going to talk about insight. Insight, foresight, and hindsight. 3 areas we'll focus on today. So before we get there, just want to make sure you're in a good posture, in a good position. I want to say good morning. I want to say good afternoon to everyone. Thank you all for being on. It is great to have you as a part of our Tea Time community. That's what we're here for. We're here to foster resilience. And so this is our community, our way of saying we're going to rest, we're going to reset, and we're going to foster resilience by our community. So please share it with others so that they may come on and be a part of our community today. So the gift of being you, part number 4. The whole month we've been focusing on the gift of being you. Next week, we're going to focus on a time of quiet journaling next week. So you want to make sure you bring your journal next week. We're going to have some original music by our very own director, Carmela Head. And so we're going to sit here. We have some activities we're going to go through for next Tuesday. You definitely want to be on for next week. We're excited about that and really motivated to spend this type of collective time together. All right, so today, the gift of being you. The gift of being you relating to the area of sight. We're going to focus on refining our sight today. And I want you to consider, as you are living and moving and going through different aspects of your life, many times we say what hindsight is 2020, right? We consider what we've experienced or reflecting. And then we also think about the foresight of what's going to happen or what potentially could happen. And then the insight that we might have, the wisdom or the knowledge, the competencies, what's inside of us. So today's focus in Tea Time, our discussion today, is really about the sight that we all have, because you are a multidimensional, multifaceted you. Can you make that affirmation today that I am multidimensional, I am multifaceted? That you're not a linear being. You're not a being that is just in one space and one area. But if you really think and consider the sight that you have, which is inside of you, again, the gift of being you, you're a multifaceted, multidimensional being. And so we want to spend some time concentrating on how do we really refine our sight? How do we refine our insight? How do we refine our foresight? And how do we use our hindsight to be able to continue to evolve and expand the gift of being you? So let's take some time here. I'm going to go ahead and share this with a few people that I think this would be a benefit to them. You go ahead and do the same while you're with me. I think this is one of those moments where there are some others that need to be in on this one. So let's go ahead and share this with others if you can. I think this will be an incredible benefit to many people. So let's go ahead and share this, if you will, with others so that they can come on and be a part of this community today. So if you don't mind, go ahead and share that. I'm going to go ahead and do that same right now so others can be a part of that. Perhaps tag a few friends, tag a few people that you think this would definitely benefit them. And then we can move forward with our conversation today. All right, let's go ahead and do that. Yes. Thank you so much. Thank you so much for sharing this content with others. So the gift of being you, part 4. Number 1, let's deal with insight today. Your insight is about your present mindset and your present motive. You know, many times when we enter in a particular space and a place in life, we have the tendency to have a particular perspective, right? In other words, we are in a place where we go into, and most human beings go into a situation with what's wrong. Have you ever pitched an idea, or you have an idea about something, and then in that group or in that meeting, someone says, well, we tried that before, or I don't know, or it's just always going to be the same. Think about that. Think about how critical it is for us to locate ourselves when it comes to insight. And so there are many times that we have the tendency to be focused on what's wrong by default. instead of thinking about what's right. It's important, folks, that we focus specifically about what's right. What is right? What's effective? What could happen? Where we could go? And so I want to encourage you, when you're thinking and you're considering insight, it's really about the present of your motive and your current mindset, and how important it is for us to shift from what's considered to be wrong and asking ourselves the question, what's right? So the next time that you go into a circumstance and someone pitches an idea, or even you pitch an idea, and they say, well, I don't know about that, perhaps we can say, well, what's going well? What's right? Because we can actually be able to move into a different dimension or a different facet of our sight or our insight when we ask the question, what's right? Again, our insight that we have is about our present motive, and it's about our present mindset or a mentality, perhaps. When we look at our motive, we're really looking at why do we do what we do. So our insight, it's based upon our mindset and our motive, and how important it is for us to take a chance to look at what is our motive and what kind of mindset do we have. So insight is about the shifting. Insight, it's about the mindset shift. Insight is about the motive and looking at what's inside of us so that we can be effective with our insight. So let's think about this. And I wrote something down that I think would be critical for you to hear this. When a scientist will discover something, when scientists discover something, they have this mindset of, well, that shouldn't be. That really shouldn't be. I'm a scientist, it shouldn't be. Then it requires them to recast a theory about how things work. They have to recast a theory about how things work. So there's a new information they have access to. It's out of their scope. It's out of their particular purview. It's out of their particular knowledge base. And so when they do that, they have to recast their theory. I'd like to ask you, as it relates to insight, what theories do you have that need to be recast? What theories in your life that you have that potentially needs to be recast? Let's think through that. Let's sit with this for a moment and really consider, if we're going to evolve and transform and sharpen the gift of being you, then we must look at our insight. Present mindset and present motive. Present mindset, present motive. What theories do I need to recast, perhaps? Or I've had a particular perspective that I'm used to living in, a paradigm. Some would call it a paradigm shift, which means that I'm exposed to new information. And though we might be exposed to new information, are we making the shift in our mindset where we're now integrating or synthesizing that new information? Folks, this is critical to the gift of being you. We're talking about sight because we all have this. Because we're multidimensional beings, because we're multifaceted. You're a multifaceted person. You're multidimensional. You don't live in one particular linear time in your life. And so because you are all of those things, then you also have insight. Present mindset. So let's ask ourselves the question one more time. Let's think through this and meditate on this. What theories do I have that need to be recast? Feel free to answer that in the chat, or perhaps just reflect on that today. Because all month we've been talking about the gift of being you here at the Renewal Center for our tea time. And we're having a conversation here. Let's think through this process of perhaps what do I need to recast? Now, there's a question or there's a statement that I have on this area as well. What you bring is what you get. So if I bring a what's wrong mentality, that's exactly what I'm going to get. If I bring a mindset that says, well, it's automatically going to be wrong, automatic reactions, I must look at my automatic reactions. Am I asking first what's possible, or am I looking at as what's plausible instead of what is possible? What you bring is what you get. What I bring to the table, it's what I'm going to get. So if I immediately go to the negative, I immediately go to what's wrong. If I immediately go to that particular mindset, then the entire fabric of a situation shifts when you shift. The entire fabric of something, of a situation, can shift when you shift. We must ask ourselves the question, what's possible? What's right? Not solely what's wrong. And really begin to think through what I bring. What I bring is what I'm going to get. What I bring is what I'm going to get. So that means we're asking ourselves a couple of questions. Well, we're going to ask ourselves, well, what's my intent here? What's my intent? Am I aware? See, insight is about the present. It is about the present current mindset, and it's about my current motive. What's in me? We must look at what's inside of us if we're going to have proper insight. So let's just sit with this and meditate on this particular concept about the gift of being you. And we're talking about refining our sight today. And our insight as part of that is looking at the current mindset that we have. I have to look at mine. There are times that I've gone into a circumstance potentially, and what I brought with me is what I got out of it. So I have to go, I begin to make a decision that I want to go into a situation or enter into something with the earnest, go into it with what's right, go into it with what could be, go into it with what is possible. Because the way of the world will have us looking at, immediately our brain will be wired to something negative or what could go wrong. Or you've heard people say this before. Maybe you even said this. Well, it's just too good to be true. It's just too good to be true. How about it is so good it is true? And that it's good that it is true. But because our mindset or our insight, present mindset, present motive, we must be able to look at it and ask ourselves the question, what's right? I want you to think about it the next time you have a staff meeting, the next time that you have a conversation, the next time that you have potentially a conference call, or even if there's something that's conflicting or something that's tense, ask yourself what's right. So that when you say what's right, perhaps the information that we may not even want to hear is going to put us on a path of growth. It's going to put us on a path of transformation. When we ask ourselves what's right. All right, let's move on to the next point. Number 2, let's think about foresight. Now, in the area of foresight is about future imagery and inventiveness. Future imagery. Now, last week when we were going through the whole, and I want to just show this again, last week when we were in the discussion about the tyranny of breaking news, that when we get disinformation and misinformation and herd mentalities and group thinks, we end up, it sacrifices our foresight. Misinformation and disinformation and breaking news, being inundated with it, can really hinder, or it can prohibit or inhibit our foresight, because our future imagery and inventiveness, eventually it becomes hijacked. Now, I've allowed that to happen to me before, and I didn't know I was doing it by default. because my mindset was like, well, it's always going to be that way with a particular situation. And as a result of that, because of that confession and that mindset that I had at the time, I hijacked my foresight because of my hindsight, which is the next part. What I brought into that situation is what I got out of it. So if I go into a conversation already immediately thinking somebody's going to be a particular way, because we're dichotomous, either a person is nice or they're mean, right? They're either good or they're bad, or it's either or thinking. When we move into proper insight, foresight, and hindsight, we move into what I call both and thinking. Not either or thinking, both and, not either or. Let's sit with that. How many times have we been either or? How many times have we been extremists? Words like you always and you never, or I always and I never. So sometimes our insight and our foresight will become hijacked with either or mindsets. Our future imagery, our future inventiveness becomes sacrificed because we have an either or mentality instead of a both and. Both and moves you into possibilities. Both and moves us into saying, what if? It moves us from what is right in front of me to what if, what could be. And so now I become more open and more pliable to a different perspective. All right, so let's continue to keep moving with this. So we've got insight, present mindset, and motive, right? In other words, our intent. What do we intend to do? What is our intent? What is our reason? What is our why? And our foresight about future imagery, our inventiveness, it sacrifices our capacity to be creative because we're getting in an environment where others begin to oppose. That's the place of growth. That's that sweet spot to grow. That's that sweet spot to expand when I use my insight and my foresight and I focus on future imagery and inventiveness. Now, I want you to look at this question here that I put down at the bottom. It says, what am I programming? Let's think about that. What am I programming? Or in other words, what habits am I creating or have I created? You can go out to dinner with someone and, you got a new friend or whatever, and the check arrives and your friend makes no attempt to offer to pay. Think about this. Think about the scenario. In your mind, you can conclude that person lacks generosity. Now, do you continue because of that scenario? You conclude for the rest of the future, that person is going to constantly they're going to lack generosity. Because you went out to eat, they didn't even offer anything. They just kind of just sat there and looked at you. You ended up paying. And then your mind is like, they're not even generous. Well, see what we just did there? Do we continue to hold to that conclusion because of that person? Maybe so, maybe not. But of course, that's an automatic mechanism. It's an automatic mechanism. And I have to recall to myself, is that really real? Or is that my perceived real based upon my sight at the time? See, if you want to see generosity and come forward in your life, you got to see generosity in the person. If you don't see it in them, it may not even come forward in them. Just meditate on that. Now, I know we may say, well, if it's not in them, it's just not in them. Perhaps. But again, because we're not in an either or mindset, we're in a both and mindset. Can you consider, if you don't mind, bear with me, can you consider that there's no absolute truth about the way that person is. That there's no absolute truth about the way that you are. Why? Because you're still evolving. You are still growing. You are still expanding. And because you are, there is no absolute truth about where you are right now, because where you are right now, you may expand and grow from that tomorrow based upon your insight and your foresight. So we must ask ourselves the question, am I hijacking myself because of my own programming? Let's sit on this. I'm gonna drink my coffee here. Hmm. Want us to think on this one. What am I programming? Now, let's ask ourselves, what breaks the habit? What breaks the programming? If I acknowledge it. Now, if I acknowledge it that I have some programming, sometimes I have my own script. I've had scripts before. And I had to learn, and still learning, because I'm still growing, and I'm so grateful because we all deserve the space to grow. We must ask ourselves the question now, what breaks the habit? I'm going to give you two answers to that: awareness and intent. Awareness and intent. Now, walk with me on this one. Drink with me on this one. Sip your tea with me on this one. Awareness and intent. Now, awareness is, do I take the path of least resistance? Awareness is realizing where I am. Awareness is realizing where I am. Do I know where I am? Intent is about why I am there. So when I have the intent is the dynamic of creating. My intent is to create a new paradigm. My intent is to create new realms of awareness. My intent is to write new scripts in my inner being, new scripts in my mind, new scripts in my thought process. Now, I'm going to be a little transparent here, because there are times that I had scripts that I just kept there because of a painful circumstance. Like even rejection. Rejection can impact your brain, rewire your neural pathways. And so therefore we have an expectation already. Well, that's just how it's going to be. See how quick we can go there? Now, that may not be anybody else watching today, but here's what I'm trying to say is that we all have areas perhaps, or some proclivities, that maybe we need to think through how we're wired with our programming and ask ourselves what breaks a habit. I dare say it is awareness and intent. Now, this is tea time. So if we were at a cafe, we'll be sitting here like, okay, all right. We'll be thinking, we'll be writing, we'll be sipping our tea. You order your pastry, come back and say, okay, what happened? Let's think about this. Really consider, if you will, thinking on awareness and intent. Because see, my brain at that time kept being wired with the mentality, well, it's going to happen anyway. So I began to say that. I may not even say it verbally, but I said it in my own self. I said it inside. My internal script kept repeating it instead of thinking what I bring is what I get. I'm bringing who I am, and I'm bringing that even in this rejection, as one of my mentors used to always say, either it'll ravage you or it'll refine you. So I'm going to use this as refining moments and look at awareness and intent. Oh, let's sit with all of this. I hear some woos and some ums. This must be real talk today. I don't know what's been going on with me the past couple of weeks. Tea time is supposed to be relaxing. Well, we are. We're still relaxing. We're growing together and we're building together. So I want you to really think through this. Insight is about our present mindset and motive. Foresight is about our future imagery and inventiveness. And if we're not careful without breaking the habit or the programming, then our foresight becomes hijacked because of not being aware and looking at our intent. Looking at our intent. Most people walk into situations and they're looking for what's wrong. They're waiting on the bomb. They're waiting on the smart bomb. Something's about to, and so it becomes unconscious. It becomes mechanical. It's going to happen eventually. See, I knew it. See, I knew it. You ever heard that before? You ever said that before? See, I just knew it was going to be the way it is what it is. It's just too good to be true. Intent and awareness. Ask yourself, see, that's the power of journaling. That's the power of meditating. That's the power of renewal. That's the power of resilience. Fostering that in your community, because now I become more aware of my programming and I'm in a space where everyone, hear this, everyone is pursuing awareness. Everyone is pursuing awareness. So two things that will help break the habit and help deprogram how we programmed ourselves. Now you got to understand, we swim in culture. We swim in our family and our home of origins. There are a lot of different aspects that we can begin to draw from. But I want to encourage us today that when we begin to become aware, you're on the proper path for expansion when you have awareness and you look at your intent. You can create new intent and you start moving into possibility thinking. That's what takes place with this. Ooh, I'm enjoying this today. So let's move to our third one and our third area of sight today, which is hindsight. Now, hindsight is about past contemplation and consideration. Past contemplation and consideration. Now, remember, you are at the center of this. You as in centered self, multidimensional, multifaceted. Times you access your insight, times you access your hindsight, times you access your foresight, because that sight's in you. So it's not that we are, think about this, because we're not in either or, we're in both and. I want you to consider this, please. It's not that we are one way or the other. It's not that you are one way or the other. It's a matter of, what am I? What is Patrick unfolding right now? What am I unfolding right now? So it's not about whether or not I'm this way, or I am this way, or I am another way. It's asking myself, what am I unfolding right now? So if I think about what am I unfolding, then I can consider what I need to continue to decide in order for me to continue to expand. So my hindsight shows me I'm contemplating on what I've learned. I'm considering my journey. I'm considering the path that I've come, because hindsight teaches. Hindsight, contemplative. When we're contemplative, when we're in contemplation or we're in consideration, the word consideration actually comes from a Greek and Latin derivative, which means to sit down and learn through observation. So I'm considering the lilies. You may have heard that, how they grow. I'm going to consider my life, and that hindsight, when we say it's 2020, are we saying hindsight refines vision? Or does it mean I'm now learning? Are we saying we're learning because we're evolving? Or is it because there's regret? How are we saying it and why? So let's think about it. It's not that we're one way or another. It's a matter of what is Patrick unfolding right now. I got to think about that. Because the gift of being you, if this is about evolving and about expanding and about growth, then it's also about the fact that it's not that I'm one way or another. It is about what I'm unfolding. So therefore, if you get some feedback, you get some information about yourself from someone else, then let's just say, how am I unfolding with this new information? How am I unfolding with this? Because it doesn't mean that it's defining you or describing you, it's developing you. Because many times what we'll do is we hear it and then we think, well, that's defining me, that's describing. No. Regardless if it's right or wrong, it can be right and wrong. It can be right because I want to develop. It could be wrong because if I respond a certain way, I'm not growing. Either way, it's a matter of how am I unfolding? So let's think about this. So we got a couple of things we want to review and recap. One is insight, which is present motive, present mindset. What is my current mindset? What's my current motive? That is insight. 2, foresight relates to the future. If I don't look at where I am, and if I'm not aware, then I'm impacting my future capacity to unfold or to create. Many times, intent is the mechanism or the dynamic for creating. Intent. The intent. Because now I'm opening, I'm evolving, I'm expanding. Future imagery can become sacrificed or hijacked. I hijack myself because I'm not aware of where I am. So what you bring is what you get. I look at what is my programming. I think about what breaks my habit. 2 things. What did we say? Awareness and intent. And then thirdly, hindsight, which is past contemplation and consideration, because it's not about being one way or the other. We talked about that. It's not either or. It's both and thinking. And when we're both and, see, either or traps you in analysis. Either or traps us in analysis. Both and moves us into synthesis, where we now are able to bring things together. You know, there's more power in fusion energy than there is fission energy. Instead of breaking down the atoms, which is fission, we're going to bring atoms together, which is fusion, and there's more power in fusion than fission. So if I stay in either or thinking, I'm staying in fission mindset. Fusion mindset creates more power. It creates more impact. It begins to spread more because now I've moved into both and thinking, both and mindset. And again, that goes back to insight, right? Both and mindset. So it's not about being one way or another. It's about what am I unfolding? All right, so let's go into some of these comments. Please go ahead, and I'd like you to respond to what it is that you're getting from this conversation today. Erica's talking about growth and fixed mindset. Absolutely, yes. We got to look at our mindsets and where they are. Lisa says this is introspective, looking on the inside. We talked about the what if mindsets, moving from what is and moving into what ifs. Absolutely, Carmela, we are catalysts. And again, we must have an open mindset. Thank you for sharing this, Monique. It moves us towards new insights. Please go ahead and share, folks, because this is what it is that we're working through today. We're working through a mindset shift, and that's important. It's important that we're shifting into this type of mindset. All right. So let's consider the next phase. All right. Also, some of you are talking about can relate to the rejection piece. And as I was sharing with that particular area of rejection, the mindset behind that was about making sure that I'm able to be in a place and in a space where I'm looking at where my mindset is, and I'm looking at how I'm responding based upon my awareness area and my area of intent, right? So those are the things that we need to consider. What am I unfolding? How am I unfolding? And it's important that we're looking at, it's not about one way or the other, but it's about what am I unfolding? What am I unfolding? All right, so let's pause it for a moment. This has been a good, rich conversation and thought process today. And I'd like you to think through, if you will, ask yourself the question, what am I programming? And how am I breaking those habits? Or how can you break a habit or programming through awareness and intent? Through awareness and intent. Let's think about that. And I'll bring this back up on the screen so you can take a look at it. But I want us to sit here just for a minute or two before we finish today. And I want you to consider, what programming do I have, and what habits? How am I breaking those through awareness and intent? And then if you can share in the comments, please, what's your takeaway from today's Tea Time session? All right. So we're going to pause for a moment and give you an opportunity to go ahead and type your comments in, if you will. Think about that. Sit with it. Locate yourself. Right. And then we'll consider that. While you're doing that, I want to thank everyone for coming on. I want to remind you, next week, we're going to be doing a journal exercise. We're going to talk about recreation and renewal, and how we're recreating ourselves and how we're renewing ourselves using our journal exercise. So next week, that's what we're going to specifically focus on. And I would appreciate you having your journals with you. Take your time and think through what it is that you want to write. So bring your journals with you. Next week, we're going to have some original music by our director, Carmela Head. And so we'll be playing that. We'll have a time of rest and reset collectively for about 45 minutes next week. So next week, 12 noon Eastern Standard Time, we're going to focus specifically on that. So let's take a few minutes and let's think about what it is that we discussed today, what we shared today. What are your takeaways from today's session? For those of you that are new to the Renewal Center, I wanted to just remind you, you can always reach out to us and our information by downloading our mobile app from your Apple, Google, or your Android store. You can type in the Renewal Center and use our app. We have a lot of creative content that we're curating. We're all about reforming culture. And so that's one of the key things, is that our Tea Time is just about that. We're creating and fostering a community of resilience. And so we're here every single Tuesday. We'd like you to be a part of that community. You can download our mobile app. We have audio content, video content. Coming up in September, we'll have a weekly, every single Monday, the renewal word, the renewal thought for that day, starting in September. So we're excited about that. You will have 52 renewal thoughts per year. Ooh, I can't wait to receive that. That'll put us on a consistent path of constantly renewing ourselves. So next Tuesday, we're going to focus on that. And I want to encourage you on how to focus on recreation exercises and renewal, using the power of resting, resetting, and fostering a community of resilience. So if you're out there, go ahead and place in the comments your takeaways, your thoughts for today. How is this applying to where you are? Also going to bring up here on the screen, for those of you that are partners with us, please, you can donate to the Renewal Center using our website. you can go to www.therenewalcenters.com/give. And also we have a text to give option, which is Renewal Center to 888-364-4483. For those of you that may not have a journal, we want to share with you that our director of renewal and community programs, Carmela has a daily moments of serenity inspirational journal. You can get your copy by going to her website at www.transformational-moment.com. Again, transformational-moment.com. Daily moments of serenity. It's an inspirational journal. And, sometimes we just need to, as she says here, get still, get clarity, polish our vision, and ask what's next, right? And so that's one of the key things we've been focusing on, even in Tea Time Tuesdays. So I want to encourage those of you, if you may need a journal or you want a new booklet or journal to use as you're working through our Tea Time content, this will be a good space to have all your information in one space, organized and with organic writing and expressions. So wanted to share that with you as well. All right. So again, I want to thank everyone for being on. Go ahead and share your comments if you will. Let's see what else others are saying as we wrap up our tea time today. Cynthia says here, division versus multiplication and increase. Ah, yes. Thank you for sharing that. What else are we saying here? What am I bringing to the situation? What is my future imagery? Yes, those are questions that we want to ask ourselves. Anybody else? Please share your thoughts on your takeaways today from the tea time content that we shared today. If there's anybody else who wants to share, we'd love to hear and see your comments. Again, that's part of resilience building, is by everyone has content to offer. Everyone has creativity to offer. Everyone has ideas to offer the community. Last time I want to bring up on the screen, today's focus was the gift of being you, part 4, insight, our present mindset and motive, foresight, future imagery and inventiveness, and hindsight, past contemplation and consideration. Folks, what you bring is what you get. How do we break the habits? By asking ourselves, what am I programming? And so when we look at our awareness and intent, we can shift. And again, the entire fabric of a situation shifts when you shift. We look at our automatic reactions and we can move to a mindset of what's possible and what's right. And through awareness, our habits are displaced by new ones. And then thirdly, hindsight. It's not that we are one way or another way. It's a matter of what we unfold. Let's hear what else is out there. Monique is saying, self-awareness is key to having an open mindset and will unlock unlimited possibilities as you walk out your God-given purpose. Thank you for sharing that. Anybody else want to share their comments, their ideas as we close out our tea time? I want to thank everyone for coming on today. I hope that this tea time month of the gift of being you has been a part of our journey, that it's helping you in the area of renewing your mind and reforming culture as well. I appreciate the tea time community. And I think it's important that we spend this type of time really cross-pollinating. Everybody has something to deposit. Let's hear what else Keisha says. My takeaway today is keep reflecting on refining my sight and continual mindset shifting. Thank you so much. Cynthia is saying here, welcoming seasons of dismantling and unearthing to reveal clean slates on which to rewrite. Thank you so much. This has been a powerful moment today. I hope that today's subject matter helps you focus and hone in on the gift of being you. You are important in the earth. You are important in the world. There is no one like you. No one has your DNA sequence. No one has your fingerprints. No one has your voice. No one has your essence. You're more than your roles. You're more than your positions. You're more than market forces. You're more than titles. You're more than all of those things. And that's one of the key things here that the Renewal Center, we want to help you understand that renewing is about being your original you. That's so important. So again, from the staff here at the Renewal Center, Patrick Brown, our Executive Director, Carmela Head, our Director of Renewal and Programming, Hope Melton, our Director of Digital Renewal and our Stewardship, and then also our Digital Media Consultant, Emmett Head. We want to thank everyone for coming on. We'll see you next week, so make sure you bring a journal. All right? Make sure that you come ready to reflect. But looking forward to that original music. See, I put some pressure on Carmela Head, all right? We're going to have a great time building and strengthening each other. That's important to us, all right? You're welcome, Monique. Thank you. You're so welcome. I hope that you're welcome, Cynthia. I hope this has been a great session today, a little longer, and I apologize that we started a little bit late, but I think we're on task, all right? Everybody have a good afternoon, a good evening. Go back and replay if you need to. I will be posting these slides a little bit later, but you know what? In order to get it, you got to go to our mobile app. So we're going to put a little teaser trailer out there. We'll have this content. If you'd like the content, I can also post it on our renewal page. All right. So again, thanks so much, everyone, for being a part of our community today. And we look forward to seeing you next week. Anybody else want to share before you head out? I think I see some comments coming in. Oh, you're welcome. Okay. Just thought I saw some comments there. All right, folks. Thanks so much. Till next time. We'll see you later. Bye-bye.